Among the causes of World War II were Italian fascism in the 1920s, Japanese militarism and invasions of China in the 1930s, and especially the political takeover in 1933 of Germany by Hitler and his Nazi party and its aggressive foreign policy. The event that finally sparked the Second World War was the German invasion of Poland. On September 1st, 1939, Germany commenced the invasion of its neighbor with 1 million men, numerous tanks, and the best air force in Europe. Poland quickly became the first country to experience the full fury of Blitzkrieg, or lightning war, where the separate entities of the Luftwaffe and the German land forces combined to form an incredibly fierce assault. Polish forces were soon overwhelmed, and with the added Soviet invasion from the east, Poland surrendered to Germany on September 27, 1939, with the part of its territory going to Germany and part to the USSR.
The fall of France was an important part in World War II. It began in 1940 and consisted of two parts. The first was Case Yellow, in which armored German forces cut off Allied units advancing into Belgium at Ardennes. The British and French saw themselves being pushed back and evacuated their forces. France remained under Axis rule until Allied landings.
The Battle of Britain was a major turning point in the war. Great Britain had successful defense against air raids conducted by the German Air Force. It occurred from July through September 1940 after the fall of France. Victory for the Germans would have exposed Britain to German invasion, but the Royal Air Force blocked that possibility and created the conditions for Great Britain's survival.
What is happening?
Following the defeat of France, Germany went on to win a string of victories, smashing Belgium, crushing the Netherlands, triumphing in the Balkans, Norway, and overrunning Denmark in a single day.
Heil Hitler! The Japanese quickly took over much of Southeast Asia by 1942. However, the U.S. won a critical battle called the Battle of Midway on June 4th, 1942. The U.S. Navy sunk 4 Japanese aircraft carriers and forced the Japanese to retreat. This gave Americans cause for hope and was a turning point in the war in the Pacific Theater.
On July 17, 1942, Soviet defense succeeded in protecting the city of Stalingrad during World War II. Germany wanted to capture the Russian city. The Soviet victory of the Battle of Stalingrad stopped the German advance into the Soviet Union and marked the turning of the tide of war in favor of the Allies.
Ha! Betcha you did not see this coming! Oh. Hey! Quit stalling! Here you go.
Grenade!
Yeah!
D-Day was the Allied invasion of Western Europe launched on June 6, 1944. There were simultaneous landings of the U.S., British, and Canadian forces on 5 separate beachheads in Normandy, France. By the end of August 1944, all of northern France was liberated, and the invading forces recognized for the drive into Germany, where they would eventually meet with Soviet forces advancing from the east to bring an end to the Nazi Reich.
The Battle of Berlin was the last major battle in Europe during World War II. By April 20th, the Soviets began bombing Berlin. They had it completely surrounded in a few days. It resulted in the surrender of the German army and an end to Adolf Hitler's rule.
We're surrounded! Heil Hitler! Stand up the way at the front! Come on! Keep it cool! Keep
By 1945, the Japanese would still not surrender. The only way to get Japan to surrender would be to invade Japan. However, this would cost the lives of up to 1 million U.S. soldiers. Instead of invading, President Truman decided to use the atomic bomb. The first atomic bomb was dropped on Hiroshima. but they did not surrender. Another bomb was dropped on Nagasaki, Japan. This time, the Japanese decided to surrender.
Nani? Ugh! Ah!
On May 7th, 1945, Germany officially surrendered to the Allies. General Alfred Jodl signed the unconditional surrender of Germany, bringing an end to the European conflict in World War II.
Unconditional surrender? The Führer told me never to surrender. Okay, I got it. Whatever. I surrender.
The Japanese surrendered later on September 2nd, 1945, bringing an end to World War II.